everyone. Happy Monday and welcome to the Her Hoops Stats podcast. We are back after a full weekend of WNBA action and just basketball news in general. My name is Chelsea Leite and I am joined by Cindy Brunson, and we are going to get into a ton of women's basketball news from the weekend. I mean, we just took 2 days off and I feel like so much has happened between the first round officially ending in the playoffs. We've had some staff changes, exit interviews, second round started, the MVP was announced, just some more like global basketball news. So stay tuned. We're going to get to the WNBA playoffs in a bit, but let's just talk about like around the horn news right now.
All right.
I think one of the biggest news hits of the weekend, Cindy, was the fact that the Seattle Storm, after their season ended against Las Vegas in that really exciting game 3. I mean, that was incredible. But they did announce that they have parted ways with their head coach, Noelle Quinn, who has been, I believe, since 2021 has been the coach of the Seattle Storm. She kind of took over for their previous head coach when he decided to retire kind of mid-season. It was kind of like a thing where I think he was just, something came up and he was like, you know what, time to retire. And she kind of stepped up as a long-term assistant. And so has taken this team to a few playoff, appearances, has, taken them through the post-Sue Bird era, through the post-Brianna Stewart era, through now the post-Drew Lloyd era. And I mean, it hasn't been an easy time to be the coach of that franchise. And so a ton of credit to Noelle Quinn, who, definitely deserves her credit for bringing this team to the playoffs. While also coaching. I mean, she was the associate head coach of the Canadian national basketball team during that time as well. And, obviously a really interesting time to be a WNBA coach. So props to her. But I mean, another coaching vacancy now in the WNBA. And I think something important to note is that now, as of right now, the WNBA doesn't have any Black women as head coaches, which I think is something that we both agree should be addressed in this coaching search for the 3 teams that are looking for coaches. But what do you think of this move from Seattle, and what do you expect them to prioritize in their search?
I think the priority will be defense. And I hope they look directly to Indiana's bench and look at Brianne January. Brianne has been ready to be in the first chair for several years. And that would be my first call. She is ready to rock and roll. And then we would solve the problem, right? Black female head coach and former WNBA champion, a winner. Like, she checks a lot of the boxes, much like Noelle Quinn did. It was just the defensive piece for the Seattle Storm that was so frustrating. It created that Jekyll and Hyde mode. And I get it. I get that Storm fans are frustrated and that they want a change. My only wince was, I hate to see the only former player as a head coach that is a Black female out of the mix. We saw so many go by the wayside in this last round of hirings, from Atlanta and Connecticut. And so it's like, we saw what happened to Teaspoon in New York. So it just, when we build this league, right? And Chicago. Oh, right. A star in New York and done dirty by Chicago.
Yes, exactly.
We want to see these women that have built the league, who know it. It's in their DNA. We want them to be afforded the opportunity to lead the next generation. And that's the heartbreaking piece for me with Noelle Quinn. Having to step aside, but I understand it. Like, it's all about wins and losses. At the end of the day, if you don't produce, that's the bottom line. But I hope that the search starts and possibly ends with Brianne January. And if it doesn't, then Christy Tolliver.
That was exactly what I was literally going to say. The next after that, I think should be Christy Tolliver. I think she is definitely up there in one of those, like, there's always like a group of on deck kind of people who you're like, okay, the next big head coaching job, depending. I do think this year is a little unique given that there are 3 head coaching vacancies. One is Seattle, of course, and then the 2 expansion teams in Portland and Toronto will be looking for their coaches. And I mean, expect those to be announced sooner rather than later. I think those processes have been ongoing for quite a while, but I do think that it's different hiring for an expansion team rather than a team that is established. And I mean,
Right.
just from my experience talking to like Monica Wright Rogers and Eli Horowitz in the Toronto Tempo front office,
Mhm.
they do have a different set of standards that they're looking for in their head coach just because Toronto is the first international team and they want someone who's kind of going to play into that global ambassador role.
Mhm.
And as the Toronto Raptors have been around for 30 years as they are currently the only Canadian NBA team. and
Right.
and I kind of see the vision when it comes to how they treat their front office staff and their coaches as kind of those like the people that kind of bridge all these different communities together, who kind of make the Canadian contingent kind of feel like they're part of the community, but also,
Mhm.
are able to navigate this very like different and unique community. So, and then in Portland, I mean, we never know what they're going to do apparently based on, their moves of the past few months. So, I don't
Mhm.
think that we can really cut and dry say, okay, like this person is next up and they deserve it. I think it's going to
Mhm.
be depending on what these expansion teams kind of want for their first few years. But yeah, those two in Tolliver and Breon January, I think, are like right on the cusp of
Right.
getting those gigs, which is really exciting because they're two former incredible players, both have
Right.
coaching experience. Tolliver on the NBA and the WNBA side. Um, Breon
And they
January.
both won. They're both WNBA
Oh,
champions on their resume.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Have great experience, have been coaching now for a few years, and so
Mhm.
it's not just they're coming right off of playing or anything, and
Right.
yeah, I think it would be exciting, I would love that, and I think, you know, as we start to see more former WNBA players step into these roles, there's a ton of former players that are now, GMs or, front office staff
Mhm.
or doing all these different things. I mean, 2 former players are now kind of running things at USA Basketball. Like
Yeah.
it's a whole kind of cycle that we're seeing as the league grows and matures into its, 3rd decade or, ending its
Mhm.
3rd decade, I guess now, where
Yep.
these players are kind of given these opportunities after playing in the league. And I think it's a really special way to grow the league and also, having people in those positions, like you said, that know exactly what it's like to be a player, to compete at these levels, who have been in those shoes, I think is a really important way to just grow the game and make sure that these players are being treated the way that they should be.
100%. Yeah, I'm super excited for Elena Deladon to take over 3x3 on the
Hmm.
Olympic side for Team USA. Sue Bird is running the whole deal. And then Kara Lawson. I mean,
Yep,
she's
Claire
got the
Lawson just
keys
got
to the
excited.
Ferrari and has got to keep that streak going. So
Yeah,
here we
if
go.
you yeah, if you missed that bit of news, Kara Lawson was announced as the next, head coach of the USA
Mhm.
senior team, and Elena Deladon is running the Olympic and 3x3 program. I
Mhm.
mean, Canada's still ranked top in the world, so you're gonna have to catch
Oh,
up with
of
us in
course.
3x3.
Of course,
It's
Chels. We're not going to
we
let that slide.
Yeah, with just won, a big medal over, a few weeks ago. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I got to make sure I'm not completely talking about USA when it comes to these things. But yeah, I mean, great for Kara Lawson. She coached the AmeriCup team to an AmeriCup gold medal, and they looked fantastic, especially despite just having a lot of college players and young players who have never competed at like the
Mm,
senior level before, going
right.
up against these really tough teams in Canada. And, there was a bunch of other really great AmeriCup teams too that were competing I think
Mhm.
it was in June. Yeah, in June.
Right.
So, I mean, great showing from from USA. And I think that was kind of, not that she needed to prove anything. I think she's been ready for a while, just kind of next up, but just kind of
Yeah.
getting a little bit more experience at that level to be
Yeah,
able
just
to
a feather
fully
in the
take
cap.
over.
Just a
Yeah,
little, "Oh, I got this." Good choice.
exactly. Yeah, and now, I mean, you have the cycle starting of the World Cup and then the Olympics in 2028. So,
Mhm.
those decisions are kinda locked in now with their head coach, and so, I mean, that's exciting. I think they're doing the exact same thing kind of as the W, like we were saying, just kind of bringing in these former players who are now
Yeah.
coaches, are now stepping into these different roles, and,
Mhm.
I mean, it's exciting. I think the rest of the world is kind of has always kind of taken notes from USA basketball, and they're
Yeah.
catching up. It's exciting to see the rest of the world kind of catch up. And I mean, I'm saying this as someone from an international perspective, but I do know people that I talk to from the USA that's like, yeah, like it's nice to see the competition kind of get
Yeah.
stronger, and these competitions not just be USA like coasting to a gold medal every time.
I'm glad you brought that up because it reminds me of Gio Ariema back in the day. You got a
Mm.
problem with UConn winning? Beat us.
Mhm.
Just level up. We're here. We're not gonna change what we're doing. You need to
Yep.
change what you're doing. And the
Yeah.
rest of the world has woken up and smelled the coffee and done just that. Now Team France is a problem. Team Germany is coming. Don't sleep on Spain.
Yep.
Canada is lurking.
Canada.
The Opals in Australia are always problematic. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting, how much of a challenge continuing this gold medal streak will be for Team USA because
Yep.
the world has gotten so much better.
I mean, it almost ended last time. It was like a 1-point
Mhm.
game in the gold medal game back,
Yep,
in Paris.
yep.
I mean, we were all watching that, and it was, I mean, not gonna lie, I was cheering for France, but, and I think it's interesting, like, Canada just did the move where they hired their head coach, who used to be a USA basketball head
Yeah,
coach. Like, they literally just took someone, they're like, "Hey, you used to coach them, come coach us."
yeah,
And I mean, Nell Fortner is just, I mean, a legend, as we all know,
right.
but, like,
But
taking that.
she's implementing the blueprint, right? I saw
Exactly.
what Team USA did. This is how we need to train. This is what we
Yep,
need to focus on. That's what Gabby Williams herself has said she's brought to Team France, the
yep,
Yukon way. This is
yep,
how we're gonna arrive to the gym. This is how we're gonna eat. This is how we're going to work out, all of
yep,
the things. So, these winning mindsets that these players have either experienced at a high quality United States college or in Team USA program itself is now
yeah.
filtering throughout the world, and it's just getting everybody to level up. I think it's so exciting.
It is so exciting, and I think I was thinking about that a lot last week when Dom Malonga was playing in the playoffs and just absolutely making things so hard for Vegas, and I sat there and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what the Olympics are gonna look like for the next decade."
Yes,
I'm so
100%.
excited.
She's
And the
only
World Cup
19.
and
She's only
yeah.
19, and if it wasn't for a transition take foul, we would have seen a dunk. Like, she was on her way.
Oh,
So,
that was way I was hoping for it.
yep.
Yeah, they not no offense, Vegas, you ruined that for us.
Oh, and
But
by the
yeah.
way, since we're on Vegas, just real quick, uh, that turn out the lights deal was aggressive. Like, I didn't
I
even
loved it,
nobody would have known if Gabby's shot had fallen because
but
it
it
went
didn't
dark.
count. It
Yeah.
didn't count. They knew,
Oh
they were
my
watching.
gosh.
It was
Wow.
so funny. I've talked about that with like in a bunch of different group chats, and we were all just like, "Oh my god, they shut it down." Like the
Yes.
ball had just left her hands, and we knew that it wasn't gonna count because the time
Right,
had elapsed or whatever, and the ball
right.
didn't even like hit its peak. Lights out. I
Mm-mm. And then it was light. I was like, "Oh,
was like,
man," because you
"Oh
just kinda wanna
damn!"
see if it falls just to, like, add to the heartbreak of the, "Oh, they were so close," and again, it's Gabby, she had
But
this
that was
experience with Team
better.
France, and yeah, so yeah.
It was so funny, but yeah, I mean, a way to transition into, I guess, some of the biggest WNBA news of the weekend, which
Yeah.
is that Asia Wilson is the WNBA's first
Mm.
four-time most
Yes.
valuable player, one most valuable player, kind of by a long shot. I mean, I kind of thought it would be a bit closer in the voting, but I mean, she deserves it, and she won, and they announced it yesterday
Mhm.
in a fun little ceremony, I guess, at the Las Vegas practice facility. Brought the trophy
Yeah,
to her. Her
yeah.
family was there. The team was able
And
to
pink
celebrate
wigs.
with her. Yeah, in the pink wigs. Bam Adebayo was there. It was a whole
Yeah.
thing. And so, yeah, I mean, just it's hard to even like put into words the impact that Asia Wilson has on this league, on this
Mm.
sport, the things that she's doing,
Yeah.
in terms of not just like dominating the game, but also just like the representation and the way that she's growing the game with her shoe,
Mhm.
with her, the way that she advocates. She's an author, a
Right.
New York Times
Mhm.
bestseller. She's just like doing it on so many fronts. And I think she's just like such a good She's like the face of the I mean, you can't argue now that she's not
No,
like
no, she's not like. She
she
is the
is
face of
the
the
face of the
WNBA.
league.
She
Yeah,
is the
and
first four-time WNBA MVP.
MVP.
She joined Sheryl Swoopes as the only 2 players to have won a pair of MVP awards and Defensive Player of the Year
There you
awards.
go.
I mean, that you are
She's
in
incredible.
GOAT company when you do something that Sheryl Swoopes has done. So
But, like,
I just
also just kind of carving herself into the GOAT, like and I
yes,
mean,
yes.
not to
And she's
discredit
not even 30. She's not even
literally,
30 years old.
I was just gonna say she's, like, in her she's not even, like she's not coming down anytime soon, like, she's in
Mm-mm.
her prime, and she is
Yes,
not slowing down, and, I mean, not to discredit the GOATs of, the foundation of the WNBA, Sheryl Swoopes,
right.
others that have built, it's kind of that saying where
Yeah,
we're, like, built on the shoulders of the people who came before us and stuff like that,
100%.
but, I mean, A'ja Wilson is just absolutely putting herself into a different category. She had this quote a few years ago where she said, like, my goal is to make it so that when you talk about the Mount Rushmore of the sport, that I'm
Mhm.
in the conversation, and, like, I
Oh,
don't even think it
yeah.
is Mount
No,
Rushmore at this
go
point, like, she
ahead.
has her own
Grab your chisel, put her in
yeah,
stone. She up there.
she give her her own mountain, like, I feel like
Yes,
she's beyond Mount Rushmore now of women's
yeah.
basketball, and, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the beautiful thing about things like this in sports is that there's always a potential for someone to come and, break and that's what we wanna see. We wanna see records broken, we wanna see
Yes.
things, but A'ja Wilson is just doing that right now, and in 10 years, it's gonna be right now we're in the phase of so and so broke this record that was held by Candace Parker, Candace Parker,
Mhm.
Candace Parker, Candace Parker. And now
Right.
in the next decade, it's gonna switch to A'ja Wilson, A'ja Wilson,
Mhm.
A'ja Wilson. And
Yep.
I think, I mean, try and stop her. I it's the same thing as
Mhm.
like if you want to compete with us, figure out how to beat us. And that's A'ja Wilson. Like you gotta
Mhm.
figure out how to beat her. I think Don Malonga might be someone to come up and
Oh,
kinda give
100%.
her a run for her money,
Yep.
which is gonna be
Listen,
interesting,
and
but
Fee's not gonna quit just because Fee
exactly.
didn't get it this year. I think the thing that really hurt her was this quarter of the season miss. The
Yeah.
11 games out really hurt her. But still 50, 40, 90 for just the second time in
Oh,
WNBA history and
yep.
is the fulcrum for everything that Minnesota wants to do well. So, yeah,
And I
a,
mean
a legit candidate. And then AT with all of the
oh,
triple doubles and just
incredible.
facilitating so beautifully for what Phoenix wants to do and getting them home court advantage. Just
Yep,
phenomenal. But I think we're
phenomenal.
going to look back at the careers of Fee and AT and just go, well, they played at the same time Asia did. Bummer.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
like the people that played against Bill Walton back in the
Yes.
day or Bill Russell, excuse me.
Yep,
That was just it. Like Bill Russell was going to win everything. Sorry, thanks for playing. So, yeah.
exactly. But, and I do think there was so much discourse about Nafisa yesterday, and I think
Mhm.
the thing with that is that they kept her out obviously to give themselves a better chance of winning a championship to make sure she was healthy for the
Yes,
playoffs. And I
that
do
was the
think
priority.
that that was the priority. And I do think if they do end up if that story kind of comes to fruition and they end up winning a championship and maybe she wins finals MVP. I mean, who knows?
Mhm.
Like we're getting to that point, but I do think like certain accomplishments may kind of ease maybe whatever burn may be. I mean, I don't know how much
Oh, for
players
sure.
really
Hey, she
think
started out
about
the
that,
season
but
scorched earth because of the
yep,
revenge tour, right? Like that
exactly.
was the goal. So Minnesota is on its way. It won its first game against Phoenix. Phoenix dominated the first half,
Yeah,
outscoring Minnesota in points in the paint. Like they
yep,
had 42 paint points and Minnesota had 40 first half points. It was just
exactly.
bananas.
Yeah.
But it made me think, I'm sitting there and I was like, Phoenix is changing the way it plays to
Mhm.
get this win. Is that going to be a problem? And then it was in the second half because then when they wanted the paint gets closed down, right? Minnesota adjusts defensively. I would love to know what Cheryl Reeves said to the Lynx at halftime. I'm sure
Literally.
some paint was peeled off the wall, but the defense just stepped up and they course corrected. And then all
Mhm.
of a sudden, it was a completely different second 20 minutes.
Yep,
Nothing could fall for Phoenix. It
Phoenix.
was shockingly different. I mean, just 12 points in the third quarter, 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Meantime, Minnesota was just rolling. They let the stud buds go. Collier found her groove. McBride was McBucketing all over the place. Bridget
Exactly.
Carlton hit some key shots. It was
Yep.
just okay, this is the Minnesota that we're used to seeing. And because of Fee's injury, all of a sudden, Cheryl had confidence in that bench and
Yeah,
we're getting
exactly.
big minutes, provide big buckets. I was just like, all right,
I mean, when
everything
you look
happens
at the
for a reason.
Exactly. When you look at the box score, I mean, it wasn't even Fee who was the highest scorer of the game. It was
Mm-mm.
Courtney Williams who scored
Yep.
23 points. Highest person on Phoenix's roster was Kalia Copper with 22. And
Yep.
so when your like role players are kind of coming out like that and able to step up when I mean, Fee didn't have a bad game. She scored
No.
18 points and got
Yep.
9 rebounds. Like that's not bad, but like
Yeah.
when they're kind of stopping your MVP caliber player, you have to have those people who step up, and I do think the depth that Minnesota has is what is kind of boosting them into kind of to be the favorites. And I mean, to flip
Sure.
to the other game that happened yesterday between the Indiana Fever and the Aces that the Fever
Mhm.
ended up winning, I
Yeah.
think that when you come down to it, they just don't have the same depth that other teams have. And when you do end up stopping a player like Asia Wilson, who only ended
Mhm.
up having 16 points, which for Asia is kind of unheard of
Pedestrian.
for her. Yeah,
Pedestrian.
for her to score less than 20 points is really rare,
Yeah.
honestly. And so when you're able to bring Asia Wilson down to 16, Jackie Young is their kind of, second option these days. She only
Mhm.
had 19 points. Chelsea
Yep.
Gray has been stepping up late recently. She only had 13 points. And then on
Mhm.
the bench, I mean, the highest person was Dana Evans with 14 points. And so
Yep.
they just don't have that same depth that Minnesota has when you think about okay, who can step up in moments where the other team has really locked in on scouting
Right.
your number one option. And I mean, credit to the Fever, of course. I mean, Kelsey
Yes.
Mitchell scored 34 points. There were so many questions about this team, about all the injuries that they've
Listen,
had. And
Kel
yeah,
said Kel said, "Y'all messed up and let me get to the second round where I've never been.
yep,
Like, let me
exactly.
show you
And
what
like
I
people
can do."
are like
Shout
sleeping
out
on this team,
to
I think. But
Athletes Unlimited. Hello, hello for those watching on, the YouTube side. Got my Athletes Unlimited mug because Kels has proven time and again with Athletes Unlimited that she is just a bucket. Her speed and her ability to finish at the rim and get downhill, in addition to the fact that she is just a walking three-point bucket ready to fall,
yep,
phenomenal. And the fact
yeah,
that Steph White has poured into her and said, "You are her. Go do
hmm
what you do. We'll figure out everything else around you." And
exactly.
then Odyssey Sims,
Oh, Odyssey.
lucky lefty. Oh, reminding everybody who she is. She's a champion from Baylor. She has been dominating Athletes Unlimited since its inception and just showed out. And that's what you need in the playoffs. You need
Exactly.
players who can go on heaters, who
Yep.
can absolutely be unstoppable and help either stop momentum from the other team or build leads. And that's exactly what Indiana did. And finally, Steph White has come around to the fact that Brianna Turner is on her team.
Yep.
Turner is doing exactly what she did for Phoenix in 2021 when the Mercury chased a championship and got to the WNBA finals against Chicago. Turner was just averaging 9 and 10. I mean, not exponentially mind boggling numbers, but doing
Yeah.
all the dirty work and switching and defending 1 through 5, which she did beautifully in game one against the Aces. And then, you have rookie of the year and Aaliyah Boston doing her thing. So I really like how the veteran play, Shea Petty coming off the bench, giving valuable minutes. It's the veteran leadership on this Indiana Fever team, I think that is really giving this squad confidence as they continue to plow through and surprise in the playoffs. Las Vegas, if it decides to take a nap and not bring its A game, they could
Literally
watch
tank.
Indiana get to the finals. Like, I was so surprised at how flat Las Vegas was in light of
Yeah.
all blah in the MVP ceremony and all of the things.
Yeah.
They just couldn't find that gear that they found so easily during that 17-game win streak.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've seen online a little bit about, I guess, an ongoing pattern that Asia Wilson sometimes hasn't been performing well on the days that she's announced as MVP, which is really interesting. Like, it's a weird pattern to, like, follow, and now that it's happened 4 times, it's kind of like, okay, is it just a lot going on? Is there just a lot of outside noise happening? Are the
Mhm.
emotions high? Like, it's hard to kind of figure out what exactly goes wrong on those days, and maybe it's just, random, and she's
Right.
human. I mean, she's gonna have days where she doesn't score 20 plus, 30 plus points.
Yeah.
And I mean, that happens to every MVP player, but I do, like I said, going back, like, the Aces don't have anybody who are going to step up if Asia Wilson isn't giving them 30 plus
Oh,
points.
no, they Chels, I
I mean, they
I'll let
have them, it's just
I'm just saying, the other people that could step up are tired from guarding Kelsey Mitchell.
exactly.
Jackie Young was physically busted. She
Yeah,
was tired from chasing Kelsey Mitchell around the floor. So was Chelsea Gray. So
yeah,
and Jewel Lloyd. All 3 of them at different points in the game were trying to slow down and contain and help on Kelsey Mitchell, and they
yeah.
were all exhausted and tapped out as a result.
Yeah, and I do think, like, it's interesting to see that, Indiana comes out and wins this game 1, and we've
Mhm.
seen the Aces be able to go back and just kind of, like, turn up. I mean, the turning point in their season was when they had that embarrassing loss
Ooh,
against the Minnesota Lynx, like, that
53 points.
53
53.
points, and that is when their season turned around. That's when they
Yeah.
said, "No, we this is not who we are, this is not the season that we're having," and they
Mhm.
went on to win 16, 17 games in a row after that,
Yep.
and so, I think it's a little bit scary to think about the fact that they're gonna go look at this and see, we we lost gas. We, weren't guarding Kelsey Mitchell as well as we should have been. Asia is probably going to say that she didn't perform as well as she could have or as she should have. And I mean, they're a great team when it comes to fixing those mistakes and being able to come out and have a dominant performance the next game. And so, I mean,
Yep.
there's a lot of people kind of trying to say that these series are over, and that's why we're expanding the WNBA playoffs now, and now it's a
Mhm.
5-game series, it's not a 3-game series anymore,
Yep.
and, a lot can happen in 5 games. It's very hard to say what's gonna happen after game 1, and so,
Mhm.
I mean, we still need to have a few more games before we actually start being able to predict what the
What I
turnout
would
is.
like to see happen, Chelsea, is everybody not under contract with Indiana better have a full contract at the start of the 2026
That's
season, whether it's
fair.
with Indiana or with anybody else, because all of those women have proved that they
Well, like,
belong in this league.
you think about Shea Petty and Odyssey Sims, who have been just
Yeah.
bouncing everywhere the entire
Yep.
season, cut from camps, hardship
Mhm.
contracts, not brought back, and look at
Yeah.
them now, like, in
I
the
know.
second round of the playoffs, actually, like, making an impact, and of course, like, injuries have happened to the Fever, and that's why they've needed to sign these players, but
Yep.
the fact that they are stepping up like that when they weren't even a part of this team's vision, like, 2 months ago,
Yep.
is just absolutely incredible, and I think with 2 new teams coming, there's
Mhm.
absolutely no reason that Shea Petty or Odyssey Sims or anyone who has stepped up for the
Yeah.
Fever, should not be signed to a full contract next season,
Yeah.
whether that's
Breezy
with.
Connor's on a 1-year deal
Yep,
too. Like,
exactly, and
she
I
belongs on
think
a team with a significant role.
exactly, so, I mean, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how that all settles with these 2 teams
Mhm.
coming. I mean, we have no idea what the rules of the expansion draft will be still, so I don't know
The
what's
league
gonna happen
doesn't
with
have
that.
any idea either, I don't think. Not
Quite
without the
honestly, yeah.
CBA settled. I mean, you just
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens with that and who Toronto and Portland are able to pick up, but
Mhm.
I mean, we've been saying this for years, not that there's just too much talent for a 12 or 13 team league, in
Right.
the WNBA, and I think we're finally gonna see some of these players who have just been, like, really patient and hardworking and never
Mhm.
given up and have
Yeah.
gone to team after team after team on these short contracts and just proved
Mhm.
that they are, and I mean, gone to leagues in the off season like Athletes Unlimited and,
Yep.
just proved that they are continuing to work and that they're still going at it despite the fact
Mhm.
that each year seems to end in disappointment. I guess this year's a little bit different because I wouldn't say going to the second round of the playoffs is a disappointment,
Right.
but yeah, it's just like incredible to see. And I think we're at an exciting time where players like that are finally going to get, the contracts that they
Mhm.
deserve.
And I hope
So,
everybody watching enjoys the league in its current iteration now,
yeah,
because these are the glory days. We have such a concentration of elite talent, and that's going to dissipate as we bring
yeah,
on more teams. And
yeah.
so we're not gonna have
Every playoff game
incredibly
be
yes,
a
every
1 point
playoff game
game.
is not going to be down to the wire, "Oh my gosh, last shot," whatever, like we saw in that Storm series and with the
It was,
Aces.
it
Uh
was, it was the Golden State Valkyries and the Minnesota Lynx was a 1 point
Yes,
game. New
yes.
York and Phoenix was 1 possession.
Mhm.
Seattle and Las Vegas was 1 possession, and Minnesota was the only one to do it in 2, but the rest of the
Right.
games went to 3. Like, that
Yep.
isn't normal. Like, for people
No.
who don't watch the NBA or, like, other leagues, like, that is not normal for a
Yes.
first round. Like, we're used to seeing sweeps, we're used to seeing blowouts,
Mhm.
we're used to
Yep.
seeing just, like, not the level of parity that we see in the WNBA. Like, it is not normal to
Mhm.
be having these games happen like this in the
Yes.
first round.
Yeah, and
So,
some of it is because we are in this final year of the current CBA, right?
yeah,
Everybody jumped and took one-year deals just to
yeah,
see what it would look like.
yeah,
So a lot of different teams have different makeups that we're not used to seeing.
yeah.
But yeah, to your point, it has been so thrilling and exciting. And I'm already worried for 2026. I'm like, because it's going to be spread thin, right? And will the new rookie class perform like the 2025 rookie class did? There's just so many unknowns. And will Los Angeles look the way it looked in its last iteration? A team that looked like it could wreck some folks in the playoffs and couldn't get there. So, you know, I'm excited for the future, but I'm also nervous for what next year's postseason could look like, because the concentration of talent that we have now is so freaking awesome.
Yeah, but I do think there is, like, I still think we are a few years out from, like, that being a true problem because, like we've said, there's
Mhm.
been so many players that have been on the cusp of roster spots who are good enough to be on these teams, and you think about Odyssey Sims or Shea
Mhm.
Petty, you think about so many rookies that don't get the chance to develop
Yeah.
because, they are just cut from rosters and teams just don't have the space to keep
Yep.
them. You think about the talent coming up in college. I mean, Paige Becker's proved this year. I mean, she's one of one, but like,
Right.
you think about the past few drafts, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Aaliyah
Mhm.
Boston. This year you have AZ Fudd and Lauren Betts coming up. Juju Watkins
Yep.
is a few years down the line. Sarah Strong is a few years down the line. Like, the talent that
Future's
is
bright.
coming up,
Yep.
like, it's nice to be able to see those players succeed, but also the people who will be drafted in the second round. Because you think about some of these second round picks, Dejanay Carrington was
Mhm.
a second round pick.
Yep.
Bridget Carlton was a second round pick. Like, some of these people who kind of fell in the draft a little bit,
Yep.
who are given the chance to develop and are given the chance to be able to make a roster spot and then turn into these incredible players that are impacting their team. I
Right.
mean, it's exciting to see. And so I do think we might be a few years removed from the true problem of the opposite of what we're having now, which is like true
Mhm.
parity. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's still exciting to see all of these games just be super close. And this year we'll have our first 7 game WNBA series, so
Yeah.
it should be exciting.
Yeah, I just don't wanna see a sweep. I just don't
Yeah.
like, please,
Nope.
please compete. Let's pay off the fact that we have a chance to see potentially a game 7 winner take all.
I mean, last year's game 5 was wild.
Epic.
So
That's why we have
epic.
7 games this year.
It's
Thank
true because
you,
everybody's like, we
Minnesota
want
and New
more.
York. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, New York, we won't be seeing them this year because the injuries were just too much for them to overcome this
Yeah.
time around, and Phoenix ended up getting the better of that this weekend on Friday if you missed that. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, shout out to the reigning champions for their season. It's hard to
And
repeat.
shout out to Stewie, man,
Uh,
playing on one leg, doing everything
uh,
she could. She was the only player to score in the 4th quarter.
In the 4th
The
quarter, yeah,
only
I saw that.
Liberty player to score in the 4th
She's the
quarter.
best.
Like, no help. The 3 ball, Jonquel Jones 0 for 5, Kennedy Burke 0
Mhm.
for 6, like, it was and what happened to
Right.
Maureen Johannes? Was she not a bucket? Like, did all of it like, she made 65 triples during the regular season, and I did not see her compete
Once.
against Phoenix in the postseason. I
Yeah.
am confused because she wasn't hurt. She wasn't on the injured list. Like I and maybe her defense isn't top tier, but if she's lighting it up and creating a problem and stretching the defense on the other side, you can deal with that for 3 or 4 minutes. Let her get in there, go on a heater. I was so stunned that we did not see Johannes in that series.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about how this could be the last iteration of that specific New York Liberty team,
Yeah.
given
Yeah.
all the changes that we're about to see in the off season, and
Mhm.
it's kind of. I mean, it feels like the end of the era of the end of an era for not just them, but like every team for some reason. It just
Yeah.
feels like everything's kind of we're moving into a new phase of this league, and
Yeah.
no team is going to look the same when you think about expansion draft. And you think about 80% of the league being free agents, two new teams in the
Mm.
mix.
Yep.
Golden State kind of doing what they did this year, probably going to be a big free agency hub as well. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Like, you
it,
can it was a tough sell at the beginning, right? Because it was an unknown. But
yeah,
now that they've led the league in home attendance, 18,000 a night, they've got that Sephora practice facility that looks fantastic, all of the bells and whistles, and an owner in Laker that announced on the regular season opening night, I was there, he promised a chip in 5 seasons. I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay,
And I
let's
mean,
go,
they made
boo-boo."
it.
I mean,
They,
that was who wouldn't wanna be a part of that? And you've got the reigning coach of the year in Natalie
yep.
Nakase. She has built that foundation. You know what the culture is when you walk into it. I think
Playoff appearance
they'll have to turn down
in
free agents. Like, they
3,
will have
yeah,
to say,
game
"Sorry, we're full. We've got 15, thanks.
yeah.
Cool. Appreciate you wanting to play here."
Yeah, I think I mean, and even just them making it to the playoffs and then winning a
Yeah,
game. Oh, no, they didn't win a game. Almost winning a game
yeah,
to almost bring it to game 3. That
yeah.
incredible home court advantage they had, even though they had to
Mhm.
move to San Jose for their first
Yeah,
game. I thought it was great. They, like, decked out a whole train, to
yeah.
bring fans to San Jose,
And
and,
they put
I
even
mean, they're
more
just
people
doing it
in the
right.
building. Instead of 18 and a few more, it was 18-4. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes,
let's
do
go.
it."
Yeah, so that's gonna be a very interesting they're kinda setting the blueprint for this new era that we're going into of these
Oh,
teams,
yeah.
and I don't think everybody's gonna have the same zest. I mean, we're coming into a Juju Watkins
Yep,
potential draft
yep.
potential next year for
Mhm.
2027, and so I don't think there's gonna be as much zest that they had,
Right.
to get into the playoffs, but at the same time, it's like an incredible way to show like we're year one and we have the
Mhm.
investment and we have the facilities and the we're just treating our players right. And if when you treat the
Yeah.
players right, it's been proven that they want to come.
Yes.
And
Good things
so
will happen. Yeah, 100%.
exactly,
And
they're
I
just doing it
love the
right.
fact that Golden State proved just how good this league is, right? You do your expansion draft,
Exactly.
and everybody's like, "Ooh, I don't know, that person really doesn't play that much." And then
Yeah.
boom, Veronica Burton is most improved. She's got the hardware. She's wearing the cap. I'm the leader. Let's go.
Well, that's what
And
I'm
there are
saying about
so many players like Veronica out there that just haven't had the chance with the amount of burn available. So, because we've
that's what
seen
I'm
it in Athletes
saying.
Unlimited. I knew what Veronica Burton was gonna do in Golden State because she was
Exactly.
gonna get the opportunity, and this league
Exactly.
is so much about fit and opportunity. So, I
I
love
mean,
the potential for what the expansion teams can do because of
yeah.
the blueprint that Golden State laid out.
Yeah, I mean, Athletes Unlimited has been kinda pushing out Nilissa Smith was another one that, was a big
Yes.
one. Odyssey
Yep.
Sims has been in
Mhm.
Lexi Brown was another one who,
Yep.
has really showed out in Athletes Unlimited and then
Mhm.
kinda and that's why we need those, like, North American off-season choices because, I mean,
Yep.
as much as these European leagues and Australian leagues and etcetera are really great leagues, like, nothing against them,
Mhm.
but it's hard for us to watch, like,
Right.
it's hard for me to track where to watch and the
Yeah.
timing and the whatever. And so having these leagues here that are accessible for us to watch,
Mhm.
and be able to have these players shine and be given a little bit of development, the stakes are a little bit lower, the
Yeah.
opportunity is there a little bit more. So yeah, I think, I mean, that's going to be a huge factor in kind of determining for these expansion teams who to go after, who's going to be in your price range, who's going to be available, who's going to be willing to come to an expansion team.
Yep.
And we're going to continue to see who these players that were fringe roster players, Veronica Burton, Odyssey,
Yeah.
Monique Billings, et
Mhm.
cetera,
Yeah.
be able to make huge impacts. And I do think that I think that we're going to see a trend of the most improved player every year being on these expansion teams, on these new teams, because they're
Yeah,
just going to
because
be the
they'll
players
have
that
the opportunity. Yeah, it's all about
exactly.
burn. If you can get on the floor and show what you can do.
Yep.
And some folks like Veronica had just kind of been in this backup point guard role and,
Hmm.
was steady and,
Hmm.
didn't hurt any team that she was on. But
Yeah.
when given the keys to the car, she knows how to drive.
Exactly, exactly. So, I mean, coming up this week in the basketball world, obviously the
Mhm,
playoffs are continuing round 2. Both game 2 for Las Vegas versus
mhm.
Indiana and Minnesota versus Phoenix are going to be tomorrow, Tuesday night.
Yes.
And then we'll have at least 3 games. I mean, we'll see if these 5-game series get stretched to game 5s, but at least 3 games coming up. So that will take us throughout the week. I mean, we
Mhm.
also have Athletes Unlimited has been announcing players all for the past few weeks.
Yes.
Unrivaled is starting to announce players this week.
Mhm.
So we're going to start to see these off-season plans start to come in. And I mean, coaching is going to start coming up a lot in the next few weeks as well. Seattle
Yeah.
is a vacancy, and then you have Toronto
Mhm.
and Portland who have been looking for their first head coaches. And I mean, I don't think any other team is going to make a big splash when it comes to coaching. I think we're kind
Mm-mm.
of last year was the big year that everybody moved, and I think this year is a little bit more settled.
Right.
But you never know. So gonna be we're starting. It's funny because this season kind of feels like we're kind of coming down from the WNBA season, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's like when news just kind of starts peaking up, and I mean we have the
Yes.
CBA too to look forward to as well. So
Yeah.
just a
And
lot going
college
on.
is college is
Yeah,
just right around the corner. I got a
that's its
game
own
on October
separate thing.
23rd. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
I've got
that's
a
gonna
pair
be
of
huge.
media days to get to for the Big 10 and the Big 12,
Yep.
and
Let's
then
go.
we're off and running, and that countdown is on for Phoenix right here in my backyard hosting the women's Final Four, which is just going to be
That's
absolutely
so exciting.
incredible when you come to Sky Harbor International Airport. The countdown clock is spinning.
Dang, that's exciting. All right. Well, if you're listening, make sure to subscribe to Her Hoop Stats wherever you are watching or listening to the podcast to make sure you're staying up to date on all of these exciting news points that will happen over the next few weeks. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Her Hoop Stats newsletter to get those newsletters directly into your email inbox. And we're also on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky as well. Thank you so much, Cindy, for taking the time to chat today, of course. And yeah, I'm Chelsea Leite. You can find me everywhere that you can find Her Hoop Stats as well. But we will see you next time for another episode of the Her Hoop Stats podcast.